You want to hear the biggest podcast we've ever had? Well, you're getting ready to on this episode of the Christian Principles Podcast. We're going to talk to not one, not two, but three principals who have just completed their accreditation site visit. Let's hear from them now.
The Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. But bear in mind, the views and opinions expressed here are those of the hosts and not necessarily of the Herzog Foundation. Don't let limited budgets or IT staffing make your staff vulnerable to common cybersecurity attacks like phishing and social engineering. One of our past guests and friend of the pod, James, has offered 3 listeners' Christian schools 3 free virtual training sessions. These 45-minute video conferences will personally cover critical topics like email security, password best practices, and online safety and privacy. Email us at mark@christianprinciplespodcast.com and tell us why your school should be a part of these free sessions. All right, we are excited to have our biggest panel on the podcast thus far.
5.
I mean, we're setting records. We got, of course, the two normal voices that nobody really cares about.
Except our moms, Teresa, Carol,
Yes.
Thank you so much.
But then we've got some representatives from Valley Forge. And let's see here. How do we want to introduce you guys?
Well, I'm just going to go through, but remember, it's Valley Forge Baptist Academy, but it's not in Valley Forge. It's in Collegeville.
Well,
So if you
because
thought
we don't want to
you
be
were going-
confusing.
Yeah. If you
Good
thought you were going to Valley
clarifying.
Forge tonight, you're not actually. But we'll start with the big guy. We'll start with Eric Briggs. Eric Briggs is the head of school at VFBA. I'm going to say VBFA a lot, I think, tonight, but VFBA. Eric, thank you so much for coming on.
It's great to be with you guys.
Awesome. Next up, we got Mark Sherwin. Mark Sherwin, formerly of Indiana Christian Academy, but now over on the east side at VFBA. Mark Sherwin is the secondary principal, right? Secondary principal, upper school principal.
Yeah, upper school principal. Thanks for having us on.
Okay. Absolutely. And then, last but not least, of course, Ms. Ashley Martin joining VFBA for her first year, joined this summer, but she is the lower school principal. Ashley, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Oh, that's what we want to hear.
Yes.
Even when they lie, we pay them enough money, they say, sure. It was great to be here. All right, first question for you guys. Now, we didn't introduce our topic.
Why are these guys here? Why do
They're
we bring
here.
these ones in?
This wonderful admin team just walked through their first accreditation cycle as the tripartite, as the threesome that it was at VFBA to hit what was VFBA's second accreditation cycle with the American Association of Christian School. But they are literally days removed from,
Ooh,
a couple
it's
days
fresh,
removed
it's
from
raw.
their visit site. Or their site visit. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. From their site visit. Yes. So we are pumped to get some raw reactions tonight, and we
Yes.
are thankful they're joining us. And this really was a, hey, I know you guys just went through this, and maybe you don't want to relive all the horrors of it, but would you mind just for us and our audience? Because I think we could be stronger walking out of it, hearing from them. So
It's huge. Thank you so much for
yeah,
coming.
Eric, Ashley, Mark, feel free to jump in. Whoever's going to start. I got a first question for you. So just in general, before we get to the nitty gritty of the actual site visit, why was it important for Valley Forge Baptist Academy to walk through the accreditation cycle in the first place? Why was it important for your school? There might be differences out there for other schools, but why for VFBA was it a big deal? Anybody want to jump in?
Yeah, I can jump in.
Awesome.
So obviously, the last time we went through the accreditation cycle, neither one of us was on staff, and so it really required myself as the head of school, but then also Ashley and Mark to really jump in and kind of see all the nooks and crannies, especially when you take over a school, things that you kind of just overlook, the policies and procedures, and it allowed us to assess them in real time. But then also just kind of gave us kind of meat to kind of what we were doing and allowed us to just look at everything.
Now, really fast, Eric, follow up. You came in at what year into the 5-year cycle? Did you have 3 years on the job out of the 5 years? Do you know?
So
you would've
you
known.
guys accredited us in October 2020.
Okay.
And so I came on staff. That would have been June of 2022 that I came on staff.
All right. There you go.
Yeah.
So a couple years in. All right.
Yeah.
Ashley, Mark.
Yeah, I think for any school, the accreditation process is just helpful to have the outside opinion. You know, when you work in a school long enough, you start becoming blind to your own strengths and weaknesses, and you can try your best to identify areas for improvement, but to have an outside, to have 5, 6 outside people come in and say, "Hey, here's some areas of improvement," or "Hey, here's some things you're doing great," is just really helpful to get a fresh set of eyes in the organization.
That's awesome. I like you gave both sides of that, positive and negative. Ashley?
Yeah, I was going to say, as a parent as well. So the first time the school was accredited, I was a parent of a student at the academy, and that was the reason why I felt comfortable enrolling my children in the school. So now to be on this side of it and to see the importance and see what that process looks like, but I feel like it's important for us as a school just because of the credibility that it gives us to our parents.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is amazing. One of those things that, kind of putting everybody's answers together, that we look at ourselves and we think we're looking at ourselves really, really well. We like to think that.
You
and
like
then
to
somebody
think
else
so,
then
wouldn't you?
points out probably the most obvious thing, like have we operated for so long and not seen this thing?
Listen.
So it is great. And then likewise for us, and Mark and I have identified these things on the podcast a lot, where there's some maybe small minuscule thing that we think, oh, that's no big deal, and then the accreditation team comes in and goes, guys, this is amazing, great job, well done. Oh, okay, I guess that is something good.
Yeah, we better get one of those.
Yeah.
We better get one of those when we go through this. But listen, we talk about obvious things. I got to tell a quick story. So in my second installment, I walked in. You spend the first year trying not to redo everything, but also get some, some things that make the place a little bit better and stronger. And I had a senior walk in during lunch, and she said, "Hey," to the secretary, "I need a knife for my steak. Like all I have is a plastic knife. It's not good enough for my steak." And my secretary told her, "Well, just go on down to the kitchen and get yourself a steak knife." Because they were so used to that small family. She's fine. She's a senior. She'll be actually when she was a senior, she's like a junior. She was like a sophomore. She's like, "Oh, she's fine. This is so and so. She's lived her whole life." So I let it play out. And then as they were leaving, I reached over to I called her back. I said, "Hey, just let's play that through really fast. The student came in and asked you for a very simple and safe help. Give the girl scissors or something, and you're like, no, just go to the unsupervised part of the building you shouldn't be in. Open the drawer to the death drawer on campus. Grab out that knife and do your thing, and then we'll see you later." It was a time of growth for all of us. It absolutely was.
If students bring in a steak, they have to go to the art and craft supplies and just grab those scissors and just start cutting through that steak.
It's like tearing it off their hands and teeth.
All right. I'm going to go to the next question.
Do it.
Because looking ahead at accreditation, I know there's so many things that you're thinking of as a school that perhaps are, oh no, we're going to get destroyed on these things. What were perhaps some concerns that you guys had going into the site visit that perhaps afterwards or through it all, you're like, you know what, that wasn't actually that big of a deal, not as big of a concern? Were there any of those that stand out?
I mean, I'll start in just saying that since I was brand new this year and didn't know anything about anything, I was kind of concerned about learning everything I had to learn, having everything in line that I needed to have in line prior to the accreditation coming. So being brand new, I was just kind of wanted to make sure that I knew what I needed to know and was doing what I needed to be doing. So that was kind of an overall fear.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll say this. So for this go around, we also added in our preschool, or as AACS calls it, the Child Development Center. And coming from a school that already had a preschool, it was really weird the idea of extending it down. For Ashley and I, as we talked through this, we were like, we don't know what they're going to be asking and looking for, but we'll just kind of figure it out as we go. And I think we probably had maybe one or two conversations with the CDC person who was looking over that. But that was one area that was really worried because I didn't feel like we gave as much attention to it as we probably could have. But it was very easy in retrospect because a lot of the standards cover exactly what we're already prepping. So I guess that's one area.
Awesome. Love to hear that. Like we were already prepared for this, even though we were worried about it, but because we're doing it as unto the Lord and not unto men, we were actually okay. That's great to
Yeah.
hear. We'll
I
go.
think we kept telling our teachers, like, all these people coming to visit, they're all in school administration, they're all teacher, they understand, if things aren't perfect. And then, we didn't take that message to ourselves, I think, in a few areas. So I think,
Yeah.
even like the building, we walked around and it was like, oh, touch up this paint and patch this little spot here. And to be honest, I haven't seen the final report from the accreditation team, but I'm guessing that probably would not have made a difference at all. But we put our poor maintenance team through quite a list to get the building in tip-top shape.
Well, hey, those maintenance people, they're the best. We need
They are.
like lots and lots of them.
It's
Absolutely.
it's also not to discourage, like, don't try to make yourself look really
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
But at the same time, as you said, like, you get into that, we're looking through the microscope and we see all the glaring little issues when, it's all right to let maybe an issue or two through, as long as it's not detrimental to, your building falling apart or something like that.
Yeah, I think we kind of took the approach of like when you're younger and your mom wants you to like clean your room when you have company coming over and you're like, they're not going to be in my room. Why are they going to be there? That's the kind of approach that we took. Everything had to be kind of perfect.
I also think about that junior high. It's not junior high. It's adult too. The world revolves around me. Like I'm thinking about myself so much, but that's true of the team as well. Those team members are also like, how am I going to write these stupid standard narratives? I got 24 things to write in standard number 6. How am I going to get through all these things? And so, they're zipping by. I mean, hopefully they're doing as best as job as they're supposed to be doing, having looked at it before and after. But there is some measure of not only is the faculty and staff thinking through their pieces of the minutia, but then the team also have these self concerns of, oh, I've got to get through all this, and I got pulls from home on me and over this shoulder, and I'm probably not going to sleep tonight because I got to do all this writing in between, which is not that bad. You should go if you haven't served. Those listening, if you haven't served on a team, I'm making most of that up. For me, don't tell my wife, it's a little bit of a mini vacation with the kids not being around me the whole time. That was nice. So, yeah. I think there's some level of I'm focusing on myself for everybody. That's probably something to remember. All right, so next up then. We talked about some concerns that maybe you had beforehand that afterwards you're like, it wasn't such a big deal. Was the reverse true for anybody? Did you have anything that you realized, like, you know what, we should have worried about that a little bit more than we actually worried about that?
So the thing that I think we didn't worry about as much as we could have was having all of the documentation like compiled and organized in a way that made it I don't want to say easy for the team, but accessible for the team to see. We really focused on the required documentation and talked about a lot of different things in our self-study and in our narrative. We talked about it, we said where you could find it, but we didn't have it pulled and organized in a way for the team to look through, which caused us to kind of run around during the accreditation process to pull everything and get it.
Hey, but it was there, right? I mean, that's the big deal, right?
It
That
was
it was
there.
there.
Yeah, I think for anybody that's going to go through this process, like for example, the like elevator certificate. Oh, it's located in the office. We just take it for granted because how often do we actually look at the elevator certificate? Right. But I think people who are coming in for the whole purpose of, lack of a better term, scrutinizing and reviewing everything, I think it's important that, as I've learned through this process, if it's referenced in the standard, it has to be in there. And so don't just take the required or suggested documentation, also add in anything that you reference. So yeah.
And I think even just the organization of even the required documentation, it was just kind of like, here's all of the documentation just back to back to back to back to back with no no tabs or anything like that for you guys. So I think we, in hindsight, could have done a better job delineating what things were in there for you guys.
Now, Matt,
To
you've
be,
sort of go ahead,
I was
Ashley.
going to say, to be fair, they almost weren't even paper clipped together before you came.
Sure. That was
Somebody,
actually,
one member of the team, didn't want us to organize them.
I was like, they'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Listen, of the three of you, who is the organized one? I got it. Like, who keeps everybody else in line, or is that not really you
So
all?
it varies. Ashley is definitely more of like a better term, like the mom of the group, and like let's just make everything nice and organized. Mark is kind of at certain times the OCD one, and then I'm the big vision person, and I go, hey, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, they
And
got it.
somehow
Fine.
it always looks good. It's because of Ashley and Mark.
Now, Matt, having served on those team, Matt, like
Yeah.
the standards. What made it easy for you on those teams? What made that review? Let's say you got hit with standard 5 facilities. What would make it easy for you to check? Like, as they mentioned, Mark mentioned or somebody mentioned the elevator. Eric mentioned the elevator
Yeah.
certificate. Yeah. So what would have made that easy for you? For those who are
Well-
wondering, like, well, how do I make that easy?
Yeah, that it's funny you brought up 5 because 5 is facilities, and I had one school that I was reviewing that had a facilities manager that when I went down and had my interview with him, it was just like, oh, here's this and here's this and here's this and here's this. And you didn't ask me about this yet. How about that? I was like, oh, okay.
He's whipping
That
it out
made
like
it
holsters.
really
Here you go.
easy.
Here you go.
Now, for every school to have a guy like that, that's what actually I remember we gave a wonderful commendation for having
Yeah.
that guy. If every school could have just one person who's responsible, you're like, okay, we're just going to hire people according to the standards, and that's all you're going to be worried about. Organizing the documentation, creating the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
That's just all you need to exist to do. Like, that would be a beautiful thing.
That one blessed thing. And there's
But-
an actual cost to that too. Like, add up the time everybody else is doing it, add up how much accreditation is worth to your school,
Yeah,
who you would lose without it. Like, you have to put a price on that head,
I'd also say, as an accreditation team, one that is going to review the school, I want to see, the school says they're doing this, and when they make it so obvious, like, here it is, just, I don't even have to necessarily run around anywhere and find that. It is a beautiful thing because there are so many things that you have to put eyes on in that short period of time. So any time that's saved with, oh yeah, the documentation's right there, I can see it, photocopy of it or whatever, or they tell me to go to this person to talk to them about that, or it's in this corner of the building when you turn right and then look up, there it is, that kind of thing. But that kind of time saver not only helps the accreditation team, but I know even for my school, as we're preparing for our site visit here very shortly, it's also something nice that I know, yes, we have it. Like you were saying about the elevator certificate, like, it's there somewhere. I know we have it. I've seen it like years ago, so I know it's there. But when I know it's not only filed away where it's supposed to be, but it's also already located in that standard document, that's a wonderful thing for me. I don't have to go hunting around. I know it's right there as well for reference. So beautiful. The Christian Principles Podcast is excited to share that we've joined the Herzog Foundation Podcast Network, a hub dedicated to advancing K-12 education and the Christian values we all share. The Herzog Foundation exists to catalyze and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide, helping families and culture flourish. One of their most impactful resources for Christian school leaders like us is the Herzog Foundation Institute. This program offers fully funded training events and retreats, enabling us to sharpen our skills without adding cost to our schools. Led by national experts, these events cover essential topics like marketing, donor development, and culture building, all tailored to the unique needs of Christian schools. Held monthly in Kansas City and other locations across the country, these events equip schools and their leaders with the tools and strategies they need to thrive. Don't miss the opportunity to explore all the Herzog Foundation has to offer. Together, we can strengthen Christ-centered education. Learn more at herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
You encouraged was it, well, I should say, is there anything else that you realized like maybe we should have worried about that some more? I how was the food? Was the team happy with the food while you were there? Did you do a good job with the food? Yes, no.
Our team loved the food, but we also have a private chef, so it's like it's fine, totally fine.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
It's like making the team happy is a big deal. In fact, both the leaders that I have been on when I've been on these accreditation teams, and Matt as well. Perhaps you guys, I know Eric and Mark, you guys were both part of an accreditation team before too. Like they made a big deal about saying to us repeatedly, I'm expecting gift baskets. Not quite, no, but they did make a big deal. Like it when our schools are going through this, these leaders are saying when our schools are going through this, we want to make sure that like they have every reason to tell us yes, and they would make it very hard to tell us no. And so I remember one talking about like gift baskets in the hotel room, and one guy was like his staff was calling their staff beforehand to figure out like what the favorite snack bar or candy bar was for these guys. So,
And just
apparently,
FYI,
yeah.
it's edification. It's not bribery.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, yeah,
No.
we're just
We're just
helping everybody
helping
feel
brothers and
very
sisters in Christ.
comfortable.
We love
Very,
each
very
other.
comfortable, and they're giving of their time to come do this, so even more so, right? Okay, well, let's assume that we have brothers and sisters, admin, getting ready to walk through their own accreditation cycle, their own site visit, whether it's their first, their second, not this, they've never done it, whatever it happens to be. The school's never done it, they've never done it. What would you say? What would be some bit of encouragement for you from them, from your team to this team, whoever it is that's listening? What would you say to that? Almost to their site visit.
Yeah, I would say for us, we started preparation for this about 18 months out. Obviously, AACS kind of recommends that. And because we were all relatively new to the school, it was very important for us to do that. But in hindsight, I think we all kind of discussed it later on. We wish we would have included our staff more. There were probably a few late nights. I think we spent a week or two just working through a variety of things. And albeit, I understand that that's kind of, it falls on our shoulders to do that. But I wish we would have relied on our staff because they would have been more vested in just kind of knowing the information. But then also, when the site visit does call for teacher interviews, conversations, they would be able to talk about it more with more information.
That's fair. That's fair. I think, and we talk about. I remember Jeff Walton, who's the president, CEO, whatever he is of AACS. He talks about if we're doing if accreditation is occurring at a school for any other reason other than to make our school stronger, that's like red flags for him. And so, and it's not about making the head of school stronger, and it's not about making or if the head of school is the big vision guy, making the lower school principal stronger. It's about making the whole place stronger. And so, it's not going to happen if it's bound up in one person. Yeah, absolutely. I hear that.
I think an encouragement would be that every school gets recommendations. So you're going to get some. It's fine. Um, you'll be able to. Some of them you'll be able to fix super fast. Some of them you'll know are coming, and other ones will blindside you, and that's okay. Um, that's the point of it, is to give you areas to work on and to give you areas that need improvement. So I mean, don't be afraid of those recommendations. Expect them, and yeah, don't expect a clean accreditation, I guess.
Green bill of health. I
Yeah.
gotta ask because you brought it up. Like, did any blindside you? Were any of the ones that you received that you were aware of at this point? Did any like, whoa, where'd that come from?
I think we're still waiting on the final
Oh, so you
report.
haven't got it yet.
So,
There we go.
yeah,
Okay.
so wait on.
But the one that was mentioned that did kind of blindside us was, I guess, instructional hours and just reviewing that. We knew we started a little later, but that was just
Okay.
that kind of put us like, wait, what?
Wait a second,
And then
what?
it set Mark into kind of a fixation mode on the hours.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Have you spent hours and hours up since you were notified of that, wondering and concerned with it,
Well,
or
I did.
trying to figure it out?
I went back. Well, I went back to the last accreditation to see if like they didn't notate it. It was. I mean, it probably should have been a problem back then. I haven't gone between all the years in between, which that'll be Monday's project to see
But he will.
to see,
But he will. Yeah.
is this a new? I mean, obviously it was a problem in 2020. Was it a problem all 5 years in between there?
Sure.
We just
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
but we've already talked about how we're going to fix it.
And
So
and that's one of those big picture things too that like we don't want to lose sight of that the elevator certificate like that, and that's a big deal. Like that's thousands of dollars to get those things certified every so often, I'm sure. But like but it's still a piece of paper. But then there are those big picture things like, oh yikes, when's the last time we reviewed this? When's the
yeah,
last time we
we've
looked at
always done it this
the
way.
yeah, exactly. And it was fine before, it's fine. And especially if there's somebody even in a lot of our schools, there'll be like a school board or a pastor or somebody who's over us, and maybe they even have some thoughts, and you guys are new to your roles, as you mentioned. Maybe those other leaders will say, we've done this for a while this way. Like, don't worry about that. And maybe you're actually kicking against the pricks a little bit and saying, well, actually, we do need to think about this a little bit more than we have been. Never easy, but what we're called to do. Ashley, you seem like you want to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, when I was handed this, at first it felt incredibly daunting to look at the standards and everything in the standard. I had that moment of paralysis where I just kind of sat in my office and was a bit frozen and like, where do I start? But honestly, I have an amazing team first that really came alongside me. But once I got started and just started kind of chipping away at each of the indicators in the standard, it honestly helped me to really focus on what is the most important, what should I be focusing on. And it also became a great onboarding tool because it helped me get to know the ins and outs of everything as I dug in and researched. So it's all about getting started, just a little bit at a time. So give yourself the time. Don't wait till the last minute. I think they say to give yourself those like 2 years in there. There's a reason for that.
So what I'm hearing is we need to onboard a principal every time we go through accreditation, and then just hand them the like, go ahead, this is you. Let's prove your mettle here. Go for it. Eric's onto something. He saw this. He knew. He's the big picture
Trial
guy.
by fire. Trial by fire.
Here you go, Ashley. Have fun.
Here are your 4 standards. Oh, by the way, and do the CDC part too.
Oh, yeah. By the way, that's all you. That's all you. I'll be up here. I'll be up in my office if you need me. I also, when you said that though, Ashley, I always go back. Well, we talk a lot about how Matt's going back to school soon because Matt has to go back to school soon because he's dying to go back to school. He wants to do it so bad, but we also razz him about it. But, going through that doctoral program, it was 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. every morning. It was an hour of writing every morning, and it didn't matter if I didn't want to or whatever. It was an hour of writing every day. And actually, I look over to my right and I think of my research writing book from Cresswell and the book that nobody wants to read. But even Cresswell say, you have to choose a time every single day, and you got to be consistent in your writing. So I did the same. How do you eat an elephant? You start with a tail. Like the same idea. Absolutely. Matt, right? You ready for this, Matt? You ready? You got picked out yet? You know where you're going?
You're not helping at all.
Oh, man. All right. Guys, you've been great. You've given us your time already. But what else? Anything else you want to mention about the process overall? Something that came to you as we were talking about something else? I was yammering on like an idiot. Anything else that you want to say about having conquered the site visit of what is your team's first accreditation cycle together?
I would just say, Mark kind of alluded to it earlier. Obviously, we recognize that your staff feeds off of the energy and the direction of the principal. I would just say that for the head of school, principal, whoever it may be, if it's okay to be nervous to go through this process, but at the same time, I remember the day before we had our pre-game meeting, and I was telling my teachers, it's going to be okay. Everything. The chips are going to fall where they may. The name of the game is to reduce recommendations. But ultimately, it is what it is, and it's going to be okay. And we just need to trust the Lord for everything. And it was, and the last thing I'll just say is the encouraging part is that obviously it's not a company line. I do believe we have one of the best staffs in Christian education, and it was very nice to hear from multiple people on the team of just how wonderful our staff was, how great they are, and it's almost that outside validation of like, okay, Lord, you did validate the people that I brought on are the people that you want me to have here.
Yeah.
At least that's how it was for me. And so just obviously trust the Lord and just take it one day at a time.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I was going to go right along with that, and our final meeting, several of the team members commended our staff. Um, so it was encouraging, and it was a good reminder too. Sometimes it's easy to get lost in the day to day and the frustrations of the day to day, but then to have just an excellent, clear reminder that good teaching, good learning, good teachers are all happening at Valley Forge. So that was just a huge encouragement to me.
Yeah, I'll end, I guess, by saying, whenever we're presented with opportunities to advance the kingdom of God, whenever we're doing something that is as big for the Lord, you can expect obstacles to appear. We talked about this right before the accrediting team came, and it was definitely true. That Thursday, I think everything that could have gone wrong, kids sick, water going through a
Did I hear there was a
ceiling.
leak? There was a leak that happened that day? Did
There
you
was
say
a
something?
leak.
Oh, man.
There was a leak. I found myself in her classroom. It was right before she was about to be observed. She was completely thrown. So just being there for your staff, knowing how they are feeling, and being able to say to her, "You do not let this trip you up. God has His hand on this. You know what you are doing." We stopped. We prayed together. But just that expectation that obstacles are going to arise, but God is bigger. So be prepared for it, but know in the end, it honestly was very exciting. I thoroughly enjoyed the whole experience.
What I'm hearing is maybe a slightly different adaptation of the verse. When your adversary, the accreditation team, walketh about as a roaring lion.
Roaring lion. Seeking what he may
Don't
devour.
worry. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm reminded of like Sanballat and Tobiah and like the whole accreditation team with Nehemiah. Like, I started a great work, and so yeah,
It was
Rip
quite
the
a
walls
week,
down.
it was a week.
even leading up to
Everything
the.
that could go wrong did
It
go wrong.
did.
Yeah.
Well, did you guys celebrate afterwards? Did you just sleep afterwards? What did you do? Like whenever your team had its final visit or whatnot, and their team, okay, they're all gone now. Did you just get together and sleep? Did you get together and like
I
shout,
went to soccer
scream, pray?
practice.
Like
Yeah, Mark went to
soccer
soccer practice. I think my wife and I went out to hibachi independently, and then yeah. We went out to
Okay,
hibachi.
independently.
So
All right, all right.
I gave her the
independently,
idea to go to hibachi. I was going to hibachi.
that's true. And my wife said that sounded great, but as a head of school, I also gave them an extra comp day off, so
That is true.
they're taking that next week, and so
It's true.
it's
And
gonna
we are
be
planning a celebration with our teachers. We're waiting to get the report so that we have some things to share, and then we are going to do some kind of luncheon celebration with all of them.
and you also had introduced a lot of initiatives this year, right? Someone mentioned that to me. That you had a lot of initiatives. So even more so their accreditation, but also they were doing a bunch of things that were new
they
for them
were
too.
yeah they were probably 6 different initiatives.
Yeah, just a
Wow.
few.
Just a few.
You must have a dream team then. To put up with you
We
guys to do that to
we
you on
have them.
accreditation
We
year.
have it.
That is awesome. All right, Matt. Anything else you want to say to this dream team here?
Well done. That's what I
Well
want to
done.
say. Way to go. Way to persevere. And here's to the next one, right?
Yeah.
Let's go.
No.
No.
5 years.
Yeah.
5 years. 5 years.
Hey, but if it's with merit the next time, it's 7
Oh,
years,
There
right?
you
So,
go.
It
Ooh,
will be.
yeah.
It will be.
That's
With
what
7.
we're
It
going
will be with
for.
merit. It will be. Yeah.
all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight.
course.
We'll say goodbye and we'll sign off. Okay.
All right. Thank you guys.
Well,
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
All right, that was a great conversation, but it is time for our spotlight segment. And for this episode, we're going all the way over to San Jose, California, and shouting out Dian Avila at Legacy Christian School.
A little bit across the way out there in San Jose. I didn't even plan that. That was
The
fresh.
way.
That was
San
live
Jose.
across the way in San Jose. But this is the second of a 3-member administrative team that we were notified of via our Instagram page messaging. So please make sure if you want your administrator to get shouted out as in the Christian Administrator Spotlight and even get a little bit of a thank you from the guys over here at the Christian Principles Podcast, that you make sure you send us a message, name your administrator, and why they are so awesome. So here we go. Diane, Matt's going to pray for you now.
Yep.
Thank you for what you do there as principal.
Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for Diane. Lord, you know the trials, you know the struggles, you know the strengths that Diane has as she's continuing to help support and lead in Legacy's school. And I pray that you would just continue to make your presence known to her, encourage her through this time of year, and just may she know how much she is loved and appreciated even from across the country. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Well, Diane, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank all the rest of you.
That's it. What a
We
great
done?
episode. Our biggest one is now complete.
It was huge. And it wasn't even really a
Huge problem.
it was just huge. It
It's
was
just
just
huge.
huge. All right,
Well,
guys. Thanks for
wonderful.
growing with us today.
Before you go, please be sure to hit that follow button on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, on Spotify, be sure to tap the star icon near the top and select the number of stars you'd like to give us. We'd be so grateful for 5. On Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the ratings and review section and then tap write a review to share your thoughts of the podcast. Thank you.